Good afternoon, students. My name is Ms. Simon Mwalwa, and I will be assisting with a presentation for Mathematics 1. So it's Mathematics 1, and it's the 2019 exams-based contact class. That means all the exams for 2019. The exams for April, for August, and for November. So all in one. We are going to look at the answering of the exam questions. We are going to look at the examples that you require or you need to understand when you come across the exam questions, and then we are going to look at the contact details. The answering of the exam questions. So you need to read all the questions carefully, especially in terms of mathematics. You need to be able to understand before you start answering the question. So you manage your time. Even though there are calculations involved, you need to be able to manage your time based on the marks allocated for the questions within your exam question paper. You answer all the questions. Even if you don't know, try. Maybe if the answer is not right, at least the methodology is right. It will earn you even a half mark, 2 marks, 3 marks, but just do not leave it blank because it will not help you at all. Ensure that you are guided by the marks allocated. When you answer your questions, look at the mark and then you answer. Then you have this is mathematics. You need to understand the formulas. If you don't know the formula, you'll not be able to answer that question. So you need to master those formulas so that when you come, if they say calculate the time, you already know what is the formula for time. And then you understand the concepts in general. So in mathematics, you don't forget your pen, but you don't also forget your pencil, your eraser, your rulers, your calculators, because you need to do a lot of calculations. You need to maybe draw a graph and all that. So you need to have your pen, your pencil, your ruler, your calculator. So we are now going to look at, we just have to go through, we do some of the concepts or we do some of the examples so that you have a general understanding. If you meet such a question that is similar to that or a question that talk about that concept, then you'll be able to relate or to build on that. So the first one, we have a graph. So it's a bar chart, and it shows the number of variable team who scored from 0 to 5 on a particular day. So you have the number of teams, and then you have the number of goals that they have scored. In such a way, you are supposed to know, if I'm given this graph, how am I supposed to interpret it? How can I read it? If they say read this graph, how do you understand it? Can you be able to do it? Like here, they have questions based on the graph that is for the variable team. So you have the number of goals down there on the x-axis, and then you have the number of teams that scored those goals. So you need to know on a graph, you need to know which one is my x-axis, which one is my y-axis, so that you can be able to answer your question. But in this case, it's pretty easier because then you are just supposed to answer the question. You look at the graph, and then it's already there. You answer the questions. So how many team members scored 5? How do you look? What are you looking at? They want a team member that scored 5 marks. So you go to your y-axis. There comes the team members on the y-axis. So do you see any 5 on that graph? Because if I can look, it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if they ask you how many teams scored 5, do you have an answer to that? So there's and then you look at the team 1, 2, 3, 4. there are 4 teams, and then we look at the goals because they're asking scored 5 goals. We are looking at the goals that were scored 5. So the number of team is on the y-axis, and then the goals that they scored are on the x-axis. But they are now looking at, we look at the goals that they scored, and then we can be able to determine how many teams. So the goals are on the x-axis. You look at the 5 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals. Yes, there is a team or teams that scored 5. Then you go with that square, and then it meets a 2 up there, and then you already know, because if you look at it's, my pen is not writing now. It has the goals are here, and then here is the teams. So it means that if there is 5 goals here, you need to look at 1, 2, 3, 4. So you look at this square here, that is here. That's what you look at, because this is the goals they're asking. So now they're saying how many teams. So on that case, if you look at it carefully, it came up to 2. And then your answer will be is 2 teams that scored 5. And then they're asking how many teams scored no goal at all. So you look at the goals again. There is a specific number of goal that is blank. If you look at the squares, they are touching each other. They are touching each other, and then there is a space. It means that there is nothing on that space. So it means that that is the number of goals that have nothing. It means no team scored 4 goals. So your answer will be 4 there. So how many teams scored the same number of goals? So how many teams scored the same number of goals? So you said you look at the teams, and then you look at the same number of goals. You look at the goals. You have team 2 there that scored 5. So is 2 teams. So what is the highest number of goals scored by all the teams? So the highest number of goals. What is the highest number of goals when you look at here? What is the highest number of goals that's scored by, but the highest number of goals that is scored by all teams? You put your goals together, and then you know what is the highest number of goals that were scored by the teams, by all the teams together. Then we can look at how to teach and represent the information. Sometimes you get the bar graph already, and then you are supposed to just answer the questions. But sometimes you are given the information and you are supposed to come up with a bar graph. You are supposed to draw the bar graph. You get the information, and then you are required to draw the bar graph. So when you are required to draw the bar graph, it means that you need to know what is it that you look for. What is it that you need to do to come up with a bar graph. So usually, like the previous one, this is a bar graph, so you have to come up with now one. So you need to look at certain aspects. For you, before you start drawing in your squares, you need to first have the axis. So the x-axis, and then you need to have your y-axis. For you to just at the initial stage when you want to draw up a graph. Let me just do it so you can see, so you can be able to see. And then, so you label them as such, and the x-axis is always your independent variable, and then your y-axis is always your dependent variable. So when you get your information, the information for the dependent variable, you put it on the x-axis, and then the dependent variable, you put it on the you label it on the y-axis. Dependent variable and the independent variable. Then you already know that this line is what, and this one is called what? Is the x-axis is on the horizontal, and then the y-axis, this is what we call the vertical axis. So you start, the squares are usually facing the y-axis, so it means that in between here you usually have small squares. And when now you divide, you can't divide if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, you have to make sure that in between these numbers is equal number of squares. So you can't have 5 here and then you have 6 here and you have 10 here. So you have to make sure that those in between are evenly distributed. If you decide before 1, I have 5, and then 5 or 10 in between spaces, then it should just be 10 all over. So, and then after that, then that's when you'll be required, based on the information, if they say you're supposed to go up to 4 here, maybe you say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you start now. If they say the first one's 6, then you start drawing your vertical bars going this direction. So you just have to make sure that if this one is going to take just 1 and 1, then it should apply to both. If there will be a few here, then you should apply it to both. So this one, the independent variable that will be here, will be now the one that will determine where and how far this bar will go. So you draw it coming from the independent variable. And then, of course, here, if it's the number of learners, then it's the number of learner here. If it's the dependent variable, maybe is the frequency, you write it here, of occurrence, you write it here, so that you can start now drawing your bars going this way. And then, of course, the height, like I said, if it says 6 of them, then you only end up to 6. That's why they said it should correspond with the number of dependent variable. So the equal spaces, we already said, in between you should have equal spaces. 3 and 4 should be the same space as 2, and 3 should be the same as the space between 1 and 2. And then it's very important that you give the title, because if you do not have the title, it's already a mark deducted. So make sure that you label the dependent and the independent, you name them, the spaces are equal or evenly, and then the squares are corresponding with the independent variable, the dependent variable, and your bar graph is also having a title. Then we come to the concepts, just the operations in general. So sometimes you get, at time you get that they want you to list, for example, the factors of 30. When they say, you need to look at the keywords. If they say all the factors, that means that you need to list all the factors of 30. Don't leave a single one. So in this case, you have 30. What are the numbers that can divide, for example, 30 without a reminder? So you have 1, 3, 5, 6, 10, and you go on until 30. But just make sure that if you divide, they said, for example, they gave a 3 there. If I divide 30 with 3, will it give me 1 point or 2 point something? Because then that is not a factor. It should give me a whole number. So the easiest way, you look at, for example, 1. 1 divide 30 into 30. And then you have 3, 15. So until you get all of them, until you come to the point where you get 6 into 30, you get how much? So make sure that you mention all, because the key word is all the factors of 30. So then they want all the factors of 30 which are prime numbers. So you should know, before you even start answering this question, the next question, you need to know what are prime numbers. What are prime numbers? These numbers have only 2 factors. 1 in itself. So what are the factors of 30 that are also prime numbers? So if you look, for example, they gave a 2 there. If you look at 2, how many numbers divide 2? It's just 1 and 2 itself. If you look at 3, how many numbers divide 3? It's just 1 and 3 itself. Otherwise, you just get 1 point what, which is not going to make it a prime number or a factor of 3 either. And then comes a case when they say, show all your work. So it's very important you look at what is this that the question wants me to do that is really coming out. They want you to do the calculation, yes, but how? Is there a specific way? Is there a requirement to that? And then if they say show all your calculations, you can't just write, okay, it's 2476 plus 924, and then you take your calculator, quick, and then you get 3,400. Because this is not show all your answers. So you need to show the tutor that you understand. So it's better you do it the long way so that you can also get the answer for showing how you came across the answer. So this will give you 6 plus 4 will give you 10. So you write your 0, your 1 up. So 7, you add 2 is 9. You add your 1 that is up there. You get 10 still. And then you shift your 1 here, the normal way we do it. And then 9 plus 4 plus your 1 up there. So it will give you 14. And you write your 4. You still bring your 1 up there because you can't write 14. So then it makes it 2 plus. There's nothing here, but you have still this one is 3. Then you get your mark for here, and then you still get your mark for showing how you came to this answer. So the fractions, working with fractions. You have that north, south, west, east, northeast, southeast. It's a directions. But in a way they are teaching you how to calculate fractions, how to deal with fractions. Let me take a new paper because the other one then at the back you will not be able to see. The first question there after the directions is that what fraction of a complete 10 is it from north to east? You look at your north. Where is your north? So you have your north there. You have your north there. Where is your east? You have your east there. But remember, you still have these ones, the northeast, the southeast. So in a way, these ones are fractions of a whole. And if we count them, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the whole is 8. So then it's that 8 is parted into small fractions. So they are now asking what fraction of a complete 10 is from north to east. So if you look at here, they say from north to east, it comes here. It comes there. So then it's 1, 2. Then it's 2 out of the whole complete, which is 8. So to simplify it, it's 1 out of 4. And then Jill faced west. So faced west, our west is here. She makes a 1 out of 4 10 anti-clockwise. We know that a clock goes how? Is it going this way or this way? You can look at your watch now. So this is clockwise, and this is the anti-clockwise. So now Jill is going the anti-clockwise. So he turned and he's going the opposite. He's going this side. So here now they are talking about 1 out of 4. So it means that this one is of 8, but if you have to look at the bigger portions, then I wish there was a different marker color. Then you can make it, then it will be 1 out of 4 without calculating in the middle ones. So if we just say 1 out of 4, because then it can be 8. You can also just use the big ones, then it can be 4, because this person now is just turning 1 out of 4 of this whole. Thank you. So if we are looking at it like this now, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's turning this way now from west. Sorry, let me just draw another one. So this person is now west. This is north, this is south, this is east. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what direction does he face if he turns anti-clockwise? Anti-clockwise, it means that from west is this direction. It's either this direction or this direction. But we said this, if we go this way, we are saying it's clockwise. So we have to go the opposite of clockwise. So it's anti-clockwise. So this person went this way. So it's just 1 fraction, 1/4 of a fraction. So it's 1 out of 4. If you look at it, it's just 1 out of 4. So the person just came here. That person just came here. It means that that person is now facing south of the directions. The next one, number 3, you are given that shape. It has how many, is divided into how many small boxes? If you count them very well, it will be 25. So now they want you to shade 0.6 of that 25. If they are saying 0.6 of 25, it means 0.6 of the 25 boxes that are there. So you can do it in 2 ways. It can either you say, I just want this to find out of this 25, how many are 0.5. Then you multiply, you get the answer. You can also do it in percentage wise, because 0.6 can be a percentage. Then instead of 0.6, you make it a percentage, like 60 over 100. 0.6 is the same as 60 over 100, fraction wise. And then you still have to multiply it with 25, because 25 is the number of squares that are in the drawing, and you want to know out of those ones, how many do you need to shade. They will both give you the same answer, which is 15. And if you now count how many 15, because for each row is 5, that means you need to shade 3 rows from that drawing. So at least you need 3. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have to shade these 3, and then you leave the other 2. Then we come at working with money. So we need to know, when we teach our kids, they should be able to also know how to use money. How much change do I have? If I have this amount, how many items can I be able to get from this money? If I have this money and then I need and I have these items that I need to buy, how much is each item cost? So you should be able to know that also. So in this case, they are saying there is 6 pangas, and then each panga is costing, one is costing $20.50. So if you want 6 and one is already $20.50, how many pangas, how much money altogether do you need in order to make the amount to accommodate 6 pangas? So we say 1 is $20.50. Oh, you cannot see. So 1 is $20.50. So then 6 will be how much? Will cost you how much? So cross multiplication, you get your 6, you multiply it with how much each cost, and then you get how much money do you need if you want to buy all 6. So the same here, you have the next one, you have the money, how much, because you want to buy blooms, but you only have that each bloom, you know that each bloom costs 50. But you also know that you have a 200. You have in your pocket, you only have a 200. And each bloom costs 50. How many blooms can you buy with 200 if each is going to cost you 50? What are you going to do? So you look at your sum. And then if you divide this sum with how much each cost, then you will know the number of blooms that will come out of this 20, which is going to be 4 already. You can tell it's already going to be 4, because 200 divided by 50, you will get 4 blooms, because each one of them is going to cost you 50, and you already have your 200. And the next one you have 9 cements, or you need 9 cements. You need 9 cements. When you check in your purse, you have 315 in your purse. Now you want to know this. I know I get my 9 cement. I got them at 315, or I'll get them at 315. But still, I want to find out how much each cost. If 315, in 315 I can buy 9 cements. So how much does each cement cost? Then you say, so it's 350. 350, which is the total cost of the 9 cements. You divide it with 9 cements, because it costed you, the 9 cements costed you only 315. Then you get that each cement cost what? How much? So you get it if you divide the total sum of money, you divide with the good, or the number of items, which is the cement in this case. We have an operation here. It says Cecilia bought 3 packs of sugar weighing 1.2 kg. So Cecilia bought 3 packs of sugar, costed weighing 1.2 kilogram, and then at a total price of 45. And then she also bought 4 packs of cereals weighing 1.3 kilograms at a total price of $12.50. And then again, 2 containers of ice cream weighing 1,500 grams, not kilograms but grams, and then it costed 37.50. So now the first question is, convert 1,500 grams to kg. First of all, you need to know for example, 1 kilogram is equal to how many grams? So in this case, we already know that 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. You should know this. You should already know how many centimeters is in how many kilometers, how many in 1 kilometer, so 1 kilometer in 10 centimeters. You need to know all those things. So now they're asking you to convert the 1,500 gram for the ice creams, how much the ice cream is weighing into kilograms, and then you already know that 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So what you are going to do is you divide, because you are going to have now 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 gram. So 1,500 gram is equal to how many kilogram? So you have to divide this with this one, and then you get 1.5 kilogram. So that will be your answer, because then you have to divide 1,500 with how many grams are in a kilogram. So, and then the second question, you need to find the total weight of the items she bought, giving your answer in kilograms. So now we are going to, they want to know the total weight of all the items. So we have the total weight. She only bought how many items? She bought 3 items. 1, 2, 3. So the first one is 1.2, and there are how many? There are 3 items, because we want the total number of all the items. How much do they weigh? Of all the items, how much all of them? That means if there are 3 sugars, how much is all 3 sugars weighing? So you say 3 times 1.2. That's the first item. The second item, they said she bought 4 packs of cereals weighing 1.3 kilogram each. So you have to, because it's each, 4 times 1.3 kilogram, and then you have, so we are still going to put a sign here, and then you have the other one, the last one is 2 containers of ice cream weighing, we already converted the 1,500 grams into kilograms here, so we are just going to copy it as it is. So there are 2, each is weighing 1.5 kilogram. So they want the total number of this, the weights. So that means that you have now to add all these weights. You have to now add, you add all these weights. You add all these 3 weights to get the total number of weight for all the items. So you just do your addition and then you get the answer. The next one. Joseph planted flowers in rows. So we know row, when the person is saying a row, those are rows. In each row, he planted 9 plants. In total, he planted 11 rows of flowers. During winter, 2 flowers in each row died. Of the flowers that were left, Joseph kept 17 and planted the rest in pots and gave them to 6 old people. Comes the question. How many flowers did Joseph planted? How many flowers? Total number of flowers. So we go back to our question. She had 11 rows. Like 11, a lot of them, until they are all 11. And in each row, like 11 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 11. In all these rows, each row has how many flowers or how many plants? It has 9. That means 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, until 9, 11. So until the 11th row, they all have 9 plants. So if you say my 11 rows has 9 plants, then it will give you the total number of all the flowers that were planted. So the next one, how many flowers died in winter? What did Joseph said? Joseph said, during winter, 2 flowers in each row died. And we already have our rows. There are 11. And on each one of these, 2 died. So if you take 2 out of those 9s, 2 died. 2 died on each. 11 of them. You come to number 1, you take off 2. You go to number 2, you take off 2. You go to number 3 until you come to row 11. You keep taking out 2 because they died. So how many flowers died? So we had 11 rows, and on each row I take out 2. So if you want to know now how many flower died, it's like you lost 2 out from each row, and so you want to know now if 2 died on each row and you had 11 rows, how many altogether? So you would say the number of rows, and then you times it with 2 flowers that died on each row, and then you get how many flower died. How many flowers died? Because each row lost 2. But now we want the total number now of all the flowers. So how many flowers did Joseph have after winter? Now we said, so here you get 22. We said 2 on each row died. So if you look at your rows, he said 9 on each row. And then if you lose 2 on each row, how many will be left? So 9 minus 2, you get 7. So now you only have 11 rows, but you only have 7 flowers or plants because the 2 died. So you still do the same. The surviving one, 7 on each row, you multiply it with the number of rows, which is 11. Then you get your answer. Then you know how many were left after winter. Then the calculation of time. So when we calculate time, so we are either given a scenario where there is time involved, and then we calculate, or we get a graph where the journey was done, and then you are supposed to answer the questions. So here we have the first one. It says, Maria left Windhoek at 5:45 in the morning and drove to Otavi. At 25 minutes to 7, she actually arrived in Okahanja. She spent 10 minutes at a filling station and then continued the journey. Then drove for 1 hour, 50 minutes before reaching Otavi. That's Maria now. Write the time 5:45 in figures. So this is the time. If a person is saying 5:45 is written in words and you're supposed to write it in figures, then it's like 5:45 is 45 minutes past 5. So write the time 25 minutes to 7 in figures. So you write it in word, you should be able to write it in figures. In the next one, you are given a graph, and they're asking you the journey. It's Monica's journey to a supermarket. So it has the distance from home and the time on the x-axis. The distance is on the y-axis, and then the time is on the, which is the independent variable, is on the x-axis. So it gives you up to 1,200 meters. So it means that from home to the supermarket is 1,200 meters. And then the complete journey goes as the graph stated. So the question is, how far is Maria's home from the shop? We already answered that. You look at the whole journey, the graph, and then before she turned, so that means that at that point she reached the shops. So I cannot be able to really go through all that, but you need to know how to interpret. So you look at the rest of the questions because of time, and then you can revise. So the calculation of shapes, you should be able to identify the shapes. If they're asking you which one is the circle, you can point out that B is a circle. Which one is a rhombus? You can be able to identify that. It's a diamond shaped. I know it's a diamond shaped, and it has the two equal sides and angles, and so it's a D. And isosceles triangle, you should know the description of isosceles triangle is the one with the sides are equal and all that. So you should be able to know that it's F. So, but then if they gave you the names, then you're supposed to choose a set. They give you the names up there, and then they describe a polygon to you. You should be able to tell which one is it. Like there, they give all the names, and then they're asking you the one with 3 sides. You should be able to know that it's on this list is a triangle. So then let's look at that star. We are looking at the line of symmetry. They're asking you how many lines of symmetry does it have. It's just that we are running out of time. I'm not sure I will be able to finish it, but I will try. So the line of symmetry, if you have to fold it, how many times will you fold it in a way that it folds and it doesn't go the other way, it comes together nicely. So like they said, if you look at that, if you fold it, it's just that mine is not up to scale. If you fold it this way, then this one will come here, this one will come here, and this one will close. If you fold it here, the same. If you fold it here, if you fold it here, and if you fold it here, these two will come together, the other one, and then this one will fold. So you will eventually see that it will be 5 times. And then eventually they'll ask you, what is the name? If you have to join these ones, it will become a shape. And then you will see which shape. Now that we have the answer there, that is a pentagon, go to your module and find out how it looks like, and join it together also so you can see if it looks like that one. The perimeter is very important. If they ask you to calculate the perimeter, you already know that it's the area around the boundary of the shape. For example, for the triangle is A plus B plus C. It's just the area around the shape. Even if the shape is like this, so this like this, maybe like this. So it's this area, you add this one, you add this one, you add this one, you add this one, you add this one until you get the whole boundary, and then you calculate, you get the perimeter of the figure. So thank you very much. Like I said, I've assisted you with Mathematics 1. So if you have any questions, because I was fast, do contact me so that I can be able to assist further. Thank you.